Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Okay, now what we are going to go is go a little bit into depth into how do we get monitoring data. So, I am actually going back here to the two-span bridge example which you are all familiar with. I think it was lecture 8 where we went into calculating the duration of the various activities of this bridge, and I think I have taken those durations and put it in a bar chart here. I think many of you might have done this already. And we have the various activities here in the bar chart. You can see the activities the way I have listed this, and but the bar chart shows the early start schedule. Okay. What we are going to do is now we want to take monitoring. So, we can go to the discussion, how frequently would I monitor this project? Should I monitor it every day? And again, please remember, this is the monitoring as far as a macro schedule is concerned. I should monitor things on a daily basis, and that is for the micro schedule. There is no doubt about it. I should be getting a daily progress report. But if I am going to update my network schedule, how frequently should I update it? And for that, doing it on a daily basis might not be required. I could choose, I am going to do it every 5 days, 10 days, 15 days, and obviously let us go to some extremes. Obviously it does not make sense for me to review it every 3 months, for example. Okay, it does not make sense for me to review it every 3 months, because within 2 updates the project will be over, and if I do not know the status of the project in my first update, or if I only know the status of my project after 3 months, that some things are happening, some things are not happening, that is really not, it's not enough time for me to do control action. Okay, whereas if I go to try to schedule it on a day, try to update it on a daily basis, the overhead of getting the data, then I have to have meetings, 2 meetings a week, too many meetings, and there will be more meetings than actually work getting done. Okay, so we have here selected an update every 10 days. Okay, and that seems reasonable for a project of this. Might be if people are extremely familiar with the project, might even be, you can even take it every 20 days or even every month if the project is a very standard kind of project, as this kind of turns out to be. But let us, for illustration, take every 10 days. It's kind of a nice period to do. And please I would like to also mention one more thing. In this schedule we have taken it as not calendar days but continuous days. If you put this onto a professional software and put a calendar onto it, you will find that the day schedule changes based on holidays and other things. So here we are, so if you try to put this into Microsoft Project or Primavera, you will find that the calendar then comes into play, and the days will certainly change. Okay, the duration of the project will increase. Here we are just working continuously through all the days. So, and we are taking now, coming back, we are taking a monitoring update period of every 10 days, and what I am going to go forward is I am going to take this, what I have circled here, this set of activities, okay, because just for mostly for illustration, I am going to take this set of activities and go forward with this. Okay, so here we are, so this is, I have got about 35 days of activities zoomed in over here, and we have 6 activities listed. So you can see order deliver piles, cast beams, drive piles east, okay, the east pile cap, east abutments, and the center piles, and you can see the planned schedule on each. Okay, you can see the schedule from the early start perspective. Okay, so this is going from to 15, 0 to 15, 0 to 20, and so on. And if we wanted to update the schedule, how do I update? So remember, my monitoring is on every 10 days. So here we are. Now let us say we are 10 days into the project, and so on the 10th day I want to do an update. So what is the data I am going to look for? So here we go. I have put up a table as to typical data that I might collect. So, my first two activities, which are order and deliver piles, have started, okay, and the plan start was 0 0, my actual start, okay. So, here we go, I am kind of going to, in this exercise here, I am going to assume everything is ideal, everything is going as planned, I am only illustrating where the values go, not likely to happen, but in exactly as I have illustrated it, but it is again more for an illustration sake. So, plan start is 0 0, actual start is 0 0, okay. So, now I am on the 10th day, my plan finish for 1 and 2 is 15 and 20. So, they would not have finished yet, but they will be progressing, okay. So, they started, I have recorded here that they started as planned, they have not yet finished, but what I need to do here is then on the 10th day, what is my percentage complete of the first activity, what is my percentage complete of the second activity. I should be able to enter a value there for as an update. Now, my other activities have not yet started because I am on the 10th day, and so they do not come into play for this update. But the question now is, what do I enter for these two? We will answer this question in due course. Now, I move on to the second update, okay, which is on day 20, okay, it is on day 20, my second update, and here we can see that so by 20th day, if I look on my schedule, activity 1 and 2 should have been completed, and here you can see I have completed, and now I am actually able to enter 100% complete because they have been completed. But in the earlier phase, I was not able to enter percentage complete because they were halfway through, okay. Once they completed, it is easy for me to enter, and of course, once if an activity is not started also, it is easy for me to enter 0 0 0 0, okay. But so 0 and 100 are okay to enter, the challenge is how do I calculate percentage complete in between. So, here when we look at update on 20, okay, so we are on this line here, and we can see these two activities are complete and drive piles east is going on, okay. Drive piles east is going on, which is highlighted in green here. It started as scheduled. Again the question is, I do not know, it is made progress, but what is my percentage complete, okay. The others which have not started are again of course 0 0 0 as far as, because nothing has been started on those, okay. So this is that, it is just an illustration of what a basic update could be, okay. And the key here is for us to focus on the key update information is percentage complete of activities that are in progress. How do I actually get that done? We now move on to the same thing continues. I have gone to update 3 on day 30, okay. Once I have gone to day 30 here, okay, you can see that the activities that are active, okay, first 3 activities are over, east pile cap and pile center are activities which need update, and the east abutment is not yet started. And when I go to 40, okay, which is 5 beyond here, all the activities, assuming everything is going as planned, all activities except east abutment have been completed because they are going as per plan, and east abutment I still need to know how much progress was made, okay. So this is an issue, how do I enter the percentage complete of an activity. Now, so there are methods, specific methods by which we should be able to enter percentage complete of an activity, and here I have listed a few of the popular methods or much referenced methods, and we will see how these methods are applicable in specific situations. So the first method is cost time ratio, where what we are basically doing is the proportion of cost or time versus total, okay. I will explain this through an example later. Or units complete is a very direct method where we are saying, if I have 100 units of work and I finish 50, then it is 50 by 100 is my percentage complete, okay, straightforward. Incremental milestone, or seemingly straightforward I should say. Incremental milestone is I take an activity like procurement or design, or I put milestones in between, which says if it is procurement I say purchase order issued, purchase order issue acknowledged, item shipped. I put milestones in between, and based on these intermediate milestones, as they reach it, I can then say, okay, if the item has been shipped, I am up to 80% complete. If customs is going to be cleared, I am at this percentage complete. So I would be I will be identifying milestones for which I would be defining my percentage complete based on. Start finish is even simpler. It's a start milestone, finish milestone. If something starts, I say a specific percentage is complete. Finish, I say 100. So it's either 0 before it starts or 100 after it finishes. It's basically a start completion milestone. Level of effort is an interesting technique. Okay, I will be showing this a little more in detail as the example proceeds. So, but just in an abstract way, it's a weighted sum of sub activities. We will give you an example for this. And of course, there is always the opinion of an experienced supervisor to be able to be able to give their opinion on how much they think the percentage complete is. So these are the typical techniques. So let's just apply some of these and see what is applicable, okay, to the example which we just discussed. So let us say we are on day 10, and we want to update the status of order and deliver piles. You'll recall there we on day 10 we had put a question mark, what is the percentage complete. So how will I actually measure percentage complete of order and deliver piles if I was on day 10. So one option is, if I am using the cost time ratio, in this particular case I will be using time. We are basically saying the activity is 15 days, and the activity the duration of the activity is 15 days and 10 days are over. So the percentage complete is 10 by 15. Okay, you have to decide if that is a fair assessment of percentage complete or not. Okay, obviously it might not be a fair assessment because we are assuming that the progress of this particular activity is proportional to time spent, which need not be the case. Okay, so there can be you actually need information from the activity to do this. So this is not a very good indicator of percentage complete for this particular case. What about units complete? For order and deliver piles, if I am on day 10, my piles delivered is 0. Okay, if I am going to take units complete, I will get 0 as an answer, which might not again reflect the actual effort that has gone into this order and deliver piles. What about incremental milestone? So this seems to have some application to this particular activity. So I can take order deliver piles and break it into milestones. For example, I can say select vendor, and issue purchase order, transport, okay, I can have series of milestones, and then as each milestone, saying select vendor I might say is 20%, issue purchase order I might say once I have issued purchase order 50% of the activity is complete, a milestone. Once I go into transport, start of transport I say 80%, and delivery I will say 100%. So I have 20, 50, 80, 100. On day 10 I see what has happened. Oh, transport has started, and then I will say 80% is complete. Okay, so that would be the initial incremental milestone. Start finish is another option. Okay, but if I am going to use start finish in this particular situation, the answer is 0. In terms of, yes, might be something has started but it is not finished, the answer is basically, or I should say, because it started I would give it say 50% for it to start, 50% for it to finish. So I could say yes, the activity has started, I have issued all this, so I am giving it a 50%. It's a possible way. Level of effort doesn't easily, it can apply to this activity in this sort of way if we break it down into milestones and put numbers on it, but we will illustrate this for the next activity it's more appropriate for it. Supervisor opinion is certainly a way we can get this. Obviously supervisor opinion will apply to any of the activities, but in this case you can ask the experienced supervisor what is the status of the pile order and delivery, and he or she can come up with his opinion and say, I think it's X% because I got assurance from the supplier that it will be here and within a day or two or whatever. So you can get an opinion on this. So if we look at this particular activity, okay, we know that units complete cannot give us a good answer. Cost time ratio I don't think can give us a good answer. Incremental milestone, yes. Start finish might be, okay, but we need to get this one. Level of effort in this particular case, I think it is too detailed for this activity. Supervisor opinion, yes, maybe depending on the expertise of the supervisor. So if we have to choose, and I mean, if I would choose, I would give incremental milestone the most appropriate way of finding a percentage complete of this particular activity. Now let us take the next activity, which is cast beams, and we can do the same discussion. Okay, so now cast beams, we remember that this was something which we broke it up into sub activities earlier. Okay, so let me just go to the remember this was from lecture 8 when we were going to cast, when we were calculating the duration for beam casting. Please refer to this. We broke it up into very much more detail. Okay, please keep that in mind. So now when we come back to the cast beam activity here and we say that I am on day 10, okay, if I use cost time ratio, okay, or mostly time ratio, it should give me 10 by 20, okay, or if I use so that should say 50% complete. Okay, if I use units complete, obviously no beams have come out. Okay, by 10 no beams have come out, so it will be 0. Okay, if we go back to the thing, the first set of beams will come out after 16. Okay, so units complete is 0. Incremental milestones, yes, I could use incremental milestones if I defined proper incremental milestones along this process, like setting up the bed, pouring concrete. I could do this. Start finish could be done again, because in this particular case, because it is simple, it could be done, but might not be so easy to define. Once I have got my formwork and everything in place, I will say I have started, and once the beams are finished after the 20th day, I can say I finished, but still we want a more detailed way of being able to assess the percentage complete. So we will actually use level of effort on this. I will illustrate level of effort with this, and of course in this case also the supervisor's opinion can have can be something which they can go by. Okay, but let us go into the level of effort. So if you recall, again, these were the various activities which we took in the cast beam in calculating the durations. What we have done here is put these activities in the form of a daily schedule. Okay, so now I have gone to the micro level. Okay, so because we were able to get these in the form of a daily schedule, we are actually able to go to the micro level, and you can see in this micro level what we have done is we have the first set of forms, okay, that is here, the second set here, and we have gone on a daily basis and said what is happening on each day. Okay, and as we go in through each day, we can see that so here is our update day. Okay, remove formwork, the beams get completed only here. So if I am updating here with units complete, like we said, no units are complete. Okay, and we have had this discussion. So we are not able to be able to get the exact way. What we are going to do is we are going to what we use called level of effort. So in the level of effort approach, we are taking each of these activities and giving it a weightage based on the effort which we think is required. So here we have, see, assemble and reinforce, we are saying as 0.5, pour concrete 0.2, setting 0.1, remove formwork 0.1, curing 0.2. Okay, so this is the weightage I am using for each of these sub activities within the casting beam activity. Okay, and what we then do is go ahead and for the update period of over here, okay, for 10 days, we are looking at, we are putting, so here you can see I have introduced the weightage as a column here, and the sum of all the weight should total 1. Okay, so we can see that totals 1. Now I look at quantity complete, how many beams have already been assembled and reinforced. By this day you will find this set has been assembled and reinforced as well as this set. So the value is 6. Poured concrete, both in 6 sets concrete has been poured. Okay, setting also all 6. setting is over. Okay, by the time I have come, remove formwork, all 6. Curing, both are undergoing curing until it comes, when it comes, curing right now is 0, but when it comes here the first 3 would have cured, and when it comes here the next 3 would have cured. Okay, so right now it's 0. So now what we do is take a weighted quantity, that is we are taking the quantity complete for that particular sub activity into the weightage of that sub activity, and this column gives you those values, and you totals up to a value of 5.4. So basically through this level of effort calculation I am saying that 5.4 out of 6, that is 5.4 out of 6 beams have been completed, which works out to a percentage complete of 90%. Okay, so now this could be a more reasonable value to enter as a percentage complete of the activity, but it requires some amount of calculations in being able to assess weightages and being able to break it down into finding out what particular sub activity is completed during the update period. So it is also probably you will realize that if you do not plan in this level of detail, you will not be able to monitor, or you will not even be able to get a benchmark at this level of detail. So it is still a macro plan. I want an update on the 10th day, and I am going to be able to get 90% complete, whereas if I had used some other techniques you get different values. So if we actually compare the various values, okay, you will see that the units complete you get 0, level of effort you get 90% complete. Okay. Incremental milestone depends certainly on the milestones defined, and on the supervisor's opinion also it certainly depends on the experience of the supervisor, but the level of effort in this particular case has given us a very systematic way of getting the percentage complete. Okay, now to kind of wind up some of the key issues in monitoring. Okay, we have kind of seen here that planning detail has to be adequate to enable reasonable monitoring. If I did not, if I simply suggested 20 days as the duration for beam casting beams without the level of detail in planning, it will be a little more difficult for me to have a structured way of measuring the percentage complete of the activity. So the more detail we have, or an adequate level of detail is required for establishing a good monitoring system. Now we have also seen, based on the earlier example, percentage complete will vary based on the method used. This is really a tricky issue. This can be used by the planning engineer sometimes to be very optimistic on how the project is progressing, and if we are sometimes too optimistic in the early stages of the project, you will find that it is the whole realism comes only in the later stages, and the project will, and things will catch up with the whole team if the reports are only optimistic. But this issue of which method to use to appropriately capture the actual percentage complete is really an issue, and probably a bit of experience, bit of judgment is required to be able to use the correct method for the activity. Okay. Finally, to summarize, I hope you all appreciate that monitoring control is really critical, and to ensure the project is steered towards meeting the objectives. So without the monitoring and control phase, we will not be able to bring the project to meet its objectives. Okay, just planning alone will not do, and it is very common to see detailed plans developed, but the monitoring phase is just left to what the site team thinks, and there is no real planning team involved in the monitoring phase. And that to be able to get large projects in on to meet objectives, we really need a coordinated effort to do that. We talked about schedule update frequency. We said it should be based on project requirements. It depends on the level of control, the level of the plan. Certainly all projects have some kind of daily update of the micro plan, but when we come to the macro plan, what is the level of update will have to be decided again based on requirements and judgment. We looked at some of the monitoring reports, but there are several formats available, there are several requirements available, but rather than use a format, please understand you should understand what the information is being used for, what decisions will be made with the information, and based on that the report should be generated. And in the last topic we found that the work progress measurement is important, and this is at the heart of the monitoring system, how we are measuring the progress of work. If the progress of work is not measured, if there is incorrectness in the way work progress is measured, obviously anything else that uses that data will not be able to reflect the project correctly. So it's extremely important that the work progress measurement reflects the field measurement or what is happening on the field accurately, and can't say more about it because it's really important, and this is where a lot of the weak links in the planning and monitoring system are. Okay, with that we look forward to your questions and discussions on this topic. Thank you.